This is the Obro Owen Brody, and this is Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is the Trophy Boy, Tyler Klein, the designer to the wrestling world, and you are listening to the Wrestling with Entertainment podcast.
Hey guys, this is Robin Renegade, and you're listening in on Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is the baddest black belt, Janai Kai, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is the Suplex Assassin, Alex Kane, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
What's up, dudes, dudettes, and non-binaries? You're listening to the Wrestling with Entertainment podcast with the incredible one, the neon phenomenon, the baller, the shot caller, the man who makes all the ladies holler, Anthony Idol.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. I am, of course, your host, James J., alongside Kaliko Yachts, who's not here, Scooter Dust, who's also not here. But even though they're not here, it's still a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the baller, the shot caller, the man that makes all the moms holler, the incredible one, the neon phenomenon, Anthony Idol.
You can still hear me, and then whatever come available.
All right. And where can we find you on social media, your merchandise, the whole shebang?
I am at Anthony Idol on Twitter. That's probably your most entertainment bang for your buck right there. That's where I'm probably posting the most. I am at Anthony Idol on Instagram, and I am at Anthony Idol on Facebook. If you want to follow along on Facebook, I have a regular HeMan page. Don't bother sending me a friend request. I also have a fan page. Go ahead and like and follow on there. Don't quite post as often, but that's everywhere to get at me. I have a Pro Wrestling Tees website. It's Pro Wrestling Tees /Neon Phenomenon. That's where you can get all my awesome T-shirts featuring the brand new hashtag Pecosaurus Rex, hashtag Pool Party World Tour T-shirt, available in 2 different colors. Whatever they got that call hot pink.
All right. And of course, all the links to those websites will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. So you have you work for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and the UWN. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies? I apologize.
Yes, yeah, man. That relationship is just like any other company. They called me for dates. I was available. We agreed on pay and all that jazz. So we're ready to rock and roll. You know, I'm not exclusive anywhere. So relationship is open ended as it is with any other company.
All right. And what has it been like wrestling in this pandemic era of wrestling and essentially in front of no crowd?
Weird. 100% weird. No, I don't dig it at all. Yeah, I really don't know how to describe it. It's pretty much the antithesis of the setting you want for pro wrestling. You know, it's
right.
It's not fun. I miss the people.
And you're kind of like a guy that definitely feeds off the crowd and the reaction. So not having that, what is something like you kind of supplement to get through your matches nowadays?
I don't know really that I'm supplementing because, like, I don't know that I really hear the crowd. I'm definitely cognizant of them being there, and I hear them when, you know, they're loud or something's working if I have that moment to check in with them. But typically I'm so immersed in the action that I'm just go, 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 go. So that hasn't really been a crutch other than just, you know, the focus. It's I honestly notice more missing them than I have to tune into something else.
Okay, I understand. Now, Nick Bonano, he actually broke into the business with my co-host Scooter Dust. Could you kind of elaborate on that relationship?
Well, I met Nick first as a referee, obviously through Championship Wrestling with Hollywood. We may have rubbed elbows on other independent dates. I'm not positive, but pretty cool guy. Quiet, keeps himself.
Well, could you tell us, about me? Could you tell me about the Circle Squared promo?
What do you want to know about it exactly? I mean, it's all true.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to know about how, it's how passionate of a promo that was for you. And you could see like the real emotion. And I just wanted to maybe have you elaborate a little bit on that.
I'm not really cognizant of other people's reasons for getting into wrestling or what made them want to become a wrestler. I have always wanted to be a wrestler. I feel like the time I wasn't being a wrestler, I wasn't living my truth, and I was off the correct path. Every aspect of my life leading up to this, no matter how funny that may sound, was focused on pro wrestling. So, like as a little kid, when I put that goal in my mind, I would check in with myself, year to year, just kind of like, is that still what you want to be when you grow up? However normal it is to have conversations with yourself. And every year the answer was the same. I still want to do that. And I love playing football, but for me, football was going to be a vehicle to becoming a pro wrestler. Even if I landed in the NFL, which, probably by 10th grade, I kind of knew I wasn't going to the NFL, but football was always going to be the vehicle that got me to pro wrestling because, like I said in that promo, all the guys I looked at in pro wrestling had been badass football players. Now, they, of course, been amateur wrestlers too, so I did some amateur wrestling as well. But, the losing of weight and being a big-time football player don't really go together. So in high school, I ran basketball, I played football, but the idea was always about football carrying me through pro wrestling or to pro wrestling. I would have that background. It would be so that the announcers could say that this dude had played college football and now he was a pro wrestler, just like I had heard about all my heroes.
And follow-up question. What happened to the mustache?
Fidel Bravo had his goon, Chucho El Sicario, attack me or distract me rather. It was after I had pectoral surgery. They knocked me out and they shaved the mustache off.
Damn it. Are we ever going to see the mustache return?
Yeah, there's probably a price tag attached to growing that thing back.
Okay.
So basically, someone's got to pay me because the mustache is heavy.
You actually did commentary for a couple of shows. Can you tell us about the experience and did you learn anything from being on that side of the ring?
Love commentary. I always saw myself being involved in broadcasting some way. I took radio broadcasting in college. I think you can hear the dulcet tones that I'm providing you with right now. So I've done commentary. I started doing commentary pretty quickly at SoCal Pro. I would get on the headphones and do some commentary there. And then I did I think I only did commentary once for Ground Zero. But yeah, I've always enjoyed it. I really, really dig it. If there's a future there, anybody that wants to pay me, I would really like to get into that.
And you trained in Tijuana, Mexico. And,
yeah, originally I did train in Tijuana, Mexico.
Yeah, and then afterwards you came back to America. You trained in America, in American style. Was there any, advantages, disadvantages of learning from Mexico opposed to America? And was there anything that, when you trained in America, like well, this is like a lot different than what happened in Mexico, what I learned in Mexico?
My experience might be really different than a lot of other guys. Um, I wouldn't say I was coddled, but I was definitely, now looking back, like I really had people looking out for me in Mexico, and I really wasn't cognizant at that time. Um, so that being said, like the big difference, I was just learning from ground zero, so there was nothing to compare it to other than, hey, down here it's right-handed work, and up in the States it's left-handed work. So that was it. Like I remember during my tryout, grab the right arm, right leg a few times. And then like as far as like moves go, most of the American moves, it had been embedded in my skull from watching for so long that those were kind of, I wouldn't be so arrogant as to say second nature, especially more complicated things like submission holds. But Mexico, seeing as how that was my first dip in the water, was probably an advantage to being a little bit more well-rounded, getting that background in Lucha Libre, learning how to roll like you do in Tijuana. People in Tijuana know how to roll because that hard boxing ring is gonna wear your ass out if you don't know how to roll. So it was different, but it was super duper cool. I wouldn't say they're so different that they're completely foreign to each other. Like if you can get through a pretty tough training class up here, I would surmise that you can get through one in Mexico and vice versa. I dig the training style in Mexico. It's familial, it's supportive. People are looking out for each other. Not like they aren't up here in America, but it was just for my not knowing anything experience, I was really glad to have it where I did.
Another guy that trained in the Lucha Libre style was Brody King. And he could throw out, he's a big guy that could do some Lucha Libre style moves. Could we see maybe Anthony Idol doing some Lucha Libre moves in a match?
Probably not. Not that they haven't happened. I've always kind of kept stuff like that in my back pockets, kind of situational offense. So a lot of times it's fight fire with fire. When I know someone has that Lucha Libre stuff in their background, especially at my size, I might counter with some of that stuff because they don't expect it. But I've only done probably one Hurricane Rana. I do break out some arm drags from time to time, but not that much, usually because that's not really my game. I'm not really playing a leverage game most of the time. I'm playing a strength game. So occasionally I would really like to either get to a seminar or do some training with Navarro Negro to get more into that flowing Lucha Libre submission style, because that to me is badass.
Without a doubt. And so no tope suicidas from Anthony Idol.
I think honestly I probably dove out of the ring 3 times. Only one straight up suicida.
One match I want to get your take on was the dog collar match against Big Daddy Destro. What can you tell us about one of the more infamous and deadly matches of the dog collar match?
Well, it was, I think, Destro had attacked me and the rest of Everett Scott International at that time with the chain. So that was kind of the genesis of the idea of, all right, you want to use a chain, we're going to use a chain. So we got the dog collar match. I probably could have used, or we probably could have had better collars. Those collars really sucked. That chain was really heavy. That chain was way too long. So with the weight of the chain and the style of collar, it pulled down hard and squeezed down in your carotid artery.
Ooh.
So I was feeling pretty sluggish at some points during that. Don't bite the chain. I'll tell anybody, don't get the chain anywhere near your teeth. Do not do that. Probably don't need a whole lot of explanation there. However, if you see it in a still photo and you think it looks badass, I'm going to tell you it may or may not be worth it to get that thing near your teeth.
Ouch. So needless to say, it wasn't really a walk. It was kind of a shoot, right?
Well, I mean, that chain hurts, dude. Like, I don't care if it whips you across the chin. You know, I know I flipped Baghdadi Destro one time with that chain deep in the crotchetal region. So flipped them via testicle via chain. So
Oh,
you know what I'm saying, like, a lot of that stuff isn't going to work with you no matter what you do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and throwing a punch with your chain wrapped around your hand. If you've ever had one of those nightmares where you cannot run or you cannot throw a punch, that's what it's like. It's while it could be definitely damaging, it's very tough to get that off in an offensively dynamic fashion. It's going to be very sluggish. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like throwing a punch underwater when a chain is wrapped around your hand.
another match you did, I believe it was with Everett Scott. The 3 Stages of Hell match. Could you tell us about that match?
Well, I'm going to start at the end and probably say I should have gone to the hospital afterwards. I probably should have gotten stitches. Not that I needed blood, but I lost quite a bit. So I did not do that well in that match. And I thought in my head, I was like this guy who was, you know, fighting through adversity. And when I watch it back on film, it's this guy who was, you know, staggering around due to blood loss. So not a whole lot of fun. I'm always down to get down and dirty like that, but obviously if I'm going to pay that big a price, I'd rather have things go my way.
I totally get that. And there was a more recent match you did against, I believe, Jesse James. Just watching that match back was like, damn, this was like a New Japan match, how you guys went at it. Could you kind of tell us how, was that chemistry already there, or was it just kind of something you just figured out in the ring?
I've been in the ring with Hawks and Jesse before down in San Diego, and you know, like I think these two action figures, you know, so to speak, are the ones that you pick, or the two guys you pick in the video game because they're similar but also yet mirror images of each other. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I knew how they get down, they know how I get down. You know, it's that kind of Watts Mid-South, you know, let's knock the shit out of each other type of deal. So yeah, I like that. That's my flavor of salsa.
You know, we haven't had a lot of West Coast interviews here on Wrestling Entertainment. You know, honestly, it kind of feels like pro wrestling on the West Coast, especially California, isn't maybe as prominent as it is on the East Coast, where there's like maybe 500 promotions.
I definitely see. I really see both sides of it because on the East Coast, and I'm going to throw Cleveland in there on the East Coast because you're in the Eastern Time Zone in Cleveland. But it seems like there's a lot of very popular independent promotions.
Yes.
Not that they booked me, but and those places have really rabid followings. Now they sort of catch on fire, and then they kind of go down, and they catch on fire, and they kind of go down. But they sort of also develop a reputation for what they are, and they have a pretty strong fan base for each individual one. But it always seems that people want to get out here, whether it's that they want to go to PWG, which is, you know, as far as I know, exclusively West Coast, except for their European vacation. The Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, because that's television, although now there's going to be more Championship Wrestling programming emanating from different cities that might change.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of thought of California as sort of a destination location. I mean, I have not traveled a lot. You know, I've been to Mexico, been to Arizona, I've been to Nevada, but that's about it. You know, and all the names I've faced, all the, you know, popular independent dudes that I've faced, it's all been in California. You know, whether they were on that one of those tours that included one of those stops, or just because, like, it's all happened for me out here.
And it's great that we have some promotions, but do you think that California, and we produce a lot of stars as well, but do you think that California maybe doesn't get as much love as it should?
No, it's probably sitting just right. If you look at who's working on television products.
Very true. Now you've traveled with friend of the show, Hunter Freeman. You have any interesting stories involving Hunter?
I'm talking to you. Like if my phone goes to the sleep screen, then you can't hear me.
Yeah, Jitsi is a weird thing.
I hate this app. I'm turning heel on this app, and I'm gonna jump you. I'm gonna fight this whole podcast actually when it comes out. All right, so Hunter Freeman. I don't know if I really want to tell the most interesting story. I can tell already since you asked me about the dog collar match. You already know the interesting story. So I guess I'll tell the abbreviated version of the interesting story.
Okay.
Well, because it does not show me in any kind of positive light.
Well, I mean,
it's interesting. All right, so here we go.
It's an interesting story, and it is positive in the end.
It's interesting. Whoever listens to this podcast is in for a treat. All right, here we go. So we are on a big old road trip to Fresno, which from San Diego is, somewhere between 5 and 7 hours given the traffic. And, it's drive by prisons. It's fabulous. So things go, relatively well in Fresno, or at least as well as they can. Pretty good draw that time, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. And the fans are razzing us, and they're having a good time or whatever. And one of the fans comes up to us afterwards after a dress because they were waiting around for autographs or just wanted to socialize, and they want to buy us some beers. Now, I'm not driving. So this sounds like a fantastic idea. Side note, crib it, just keep it in the back of your mind. I just got dumped. I just got broken up with out of a relationship. So although like every other instance of a road trip, I was, because I was in the relationship, I was that guy who was like, let's get home. Let's get home. Let's not fuck around. Let's just get in the car. Let's get our asses home because, I had this really hot girlfriend. I want to get my ass home. But now I am single. And I am depressed. I am battling, as they like to refer to in pro wrestling, I am battling demons. Ooh. So we get to the bar. We made the fans who were buying us drinks run to the bar, and we yelled at them from the truck. Good times. There was a reasonable amount of girls in the bar. I may or may not have spoke to some of them, and a reasonable amount of rounds may have been consumed. So I think at that time I also drank wine because I was under the giant kick. Anyway, so some might say that I was blacked out. I don't really think that I was. But if you want to take those other people's words for it, that's fine because I still remember most of what happened. All right, so we're on our way home. We have a designated driver, Mike Hamden, who I'm telling this long story because I basically owe this dude an apology because Mike was in a relationship. He was team married guy. He was the same cat. Mike and I had been on the road many times. We were always the let's just get the fuck home guys. So now I've betrayed Mike Hamden on the road and become a pirate. So I am three sheets. I'm gone. Well, I'm having a good time because, as I would say, I was battling demons. So I'm in the front seat. Mike's driving. Everybody else is in the back seat. We're having a good time. We're probably singing. And it's time to pull over and pee. So we pull over and pee. And I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I was just trying to be impolite, so I kind of just wiggle myself behind a bush, okay? Now we've pulled off the road. I've gone beyond the guardrail. Hey, you don't want to get hit by a car or anything like that. And I have no idea what's behind me, okay? Now, the ground I am on is crumbly dirt. It's an embankment, okay? So I finished my deal, okay, you know when like you're in a car accident and shit goes into slow motion?
Yes.
Here, we're going into slow motion now. All right, so the heel comes off my right cool guy boot, okay? Because I always try to dress dope when I'm on the road. That may or may not be a thing anymore. Catch me at your local show. So the heel comes off my boot. I'm scrambling. I am stepping in the crumbling dirt, and now I am going backwards. And now I'm airborne. Okay? Now, I don't know if you've ever fallen off of anything. I don't know if you've jumped off a roof into a swimming pool. I don't know if you've gone off a super crazy water slide like I like to do down in Mexico. But being in the air, for most people, like if they jump, you're in the air for like a second. So being in the air is typically a short thing. Like you're in the air so quick, it's over before you know it. You jump off the top rope, you're on the mat before you know it. Dude, I fell so far, I had time to get scared.
Wow.
I fell, what in my mind had to be at least 15 feet. I have no idea, okay? But I fell so far and was so frightened, I knew that I had to get flat. Like, I want you to think about how far I had to be fucking falling to think to myself, get flat. So I Jeff Hardy swanton bomb onto what I think is the ground. There was probably a fucking rock and break my fucking ribs. So I have no idea how long I'm down there. I am making nothing but wounded animal noises. Hunter Freeman, being the ex-Marine that he is, goes on full recon mode. I want to shout out to Dark Usagi, who also came down there, and they dragged my big ass out of this hole and take me moaning and groaning all the way home. Good Lord. All right, so I think that's probably the story you were talking about. Also remember, I missed no matches and defended the title admirably afterwards. Thank you.
Well, for a positive spin on the story, you know, wrestling kind of saved your life in a way. I mean, if you didn't have, you know, that thing in your mind to say, I need to swanton and lay flat, then maybe the injuries would have been worse. Would you say that?
Yeah, or could I have like a real job and like a successful relationship where I don't fall off the side of the goddamn freeway. But, you know, whatever. You make choices in life. And, you know, I'm sticking with this one.
Fair enough. And thank you so much for telling that story. That's
No worries.
And you've actually done some stand-up comedy as well, and podcasting off my realm of things. Could you tell us how that came about, and maybe what was your experience with it?
Whatchamacallit? Oh, the stand-up comedy. I probably suck. I think I got chops. I'm not good at the writing aspect, and also I think, and by that I mean refining the writing. You know, I can put pen to paper. I'm literate, but I enjoyed it. So I'm not saying I wouldn't do it again. I don't know that I'm the best stand-up comic, but I did enjoy it. I think the best stand-up comics are willing to be stripped absolutely naked, not physically, but emotionally when they get up there. And that's a big step. That's a huge step, man. You know, so, you know, I don't know if I'm there yet as a comic. Like, and if you've ever seen Kevin Hart's first stand-up comic special, it's very safe as opposed to the one where he talks about his dad being a drug addict who threw him in the deep end of the pool and he almost drowned. And then brought him a humongous dog that almost ate his face. You know what I'm saying? That was painful shit. And then oftentimes, you know, comedy comes from pain, like Richard Pryor having this painful childhood, man. So that's a lot. You know, I don't know if I'm not that guy. I'm definitely not going to talk about airline food. That's not me either. So it might take a little more prodding, a little more work, definitely, to be a really good stand-up comic. But I definitely enjoyed it. I do enjoy it. I also got up there a couple of times with nothing and just riffed. And I do remember those first couple of times I got like 2 and 3 laughs during that time. And that, oh shit, there we go. And that is just that's rewarding, man. Like, you know, when you finally get that laugh, boy, that's a big payoff. Podcasting, I've recorded, you know, my own podcast. Is this what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done 2 episodes of my own podcast, but they've never been released. I like them. I liked my broadcast partner. I'm not good at editing, so the bit of editing that I had to do was a bit involved for me, and I was just like, you know what, fuck this. So I there might be a future of me being YouTube live. You know, I sometimes wonder, you know, do people want to hear Anthony Idol talk about, you know, the Lakers game? So that's a step I'm not sure I'm going to take, but, you know, maybe I should take it because, you know, you don't have much to lose.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I kind of started this podcast with nothing to lose and nothing really to gain. But hey, now I'm talking to Anthony Idol, so I mean, I'm doing pretty good, ain't I?
Win-win.
Yeah. And I totally understand about the editing. As somebody that edits a podcast weekly, it's definitely the most sucky part of the job.
It wasn't even big chunks, man. Like I knew the two pieces that I wanted to clip out, and I just couldn't even figure out how to clip them out. Like if I had a producer who would work for free and be at my every beck and call and bring me chunk, no. But yeah, that would probably help me produce that show.
Well,
so we'll see. If anybody listens to this feels like doing that, get in touch.
I mean,
at Anthony Idol on Twitter.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it for free, but we could talk about that later.
Right on.
You're a Masters of the Universe fan.
Well, I mean, I had some HeMan figures when I was a kid, and you know, who doesn't want to look like him? And the Masters of the Universe figures invaded my AWA Remco Fed, but that's probably the end of it. Like, I don't really actively collect any action figures now.
Oh, all right. Well, when you say your Masters of the Universe figures invaded your Remco, could you maybe elaborate on that?
Well, because the Remco AWA figures are the same scale as the HeMan figures.
Yes.
So I would, like, later on, you know, when HeMan, I don't even think was a cartoon anymore, they had these cool looking figures. So like, I cannot remember their names. So there's like a glow in the dark skeleton dude who looked like a dope luchador. Surprise, surprise, didn't that work out? And then there was other couple guys. They basically were like my masked dudes if they looked like masked dudes. You know, so like, you know, it wasn't Ram Jam wasn't in there or anything like that, and Beastman wasn't in there. It was dudes who I could pass off as masked dudes.
Okay. Now it's time for Kaliko's Colossal Question, not featuring Kaliko this week. But you've had an interesting career. You've had a long career. It's maybe movie worthy, you know. Get Harrison Ford to play Anthony Idol. And with, you know, a movie, there's a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on that soundtrack of the Anthony Idol story?
The first song is Easy Rider, Action Bronson.
Sweet.
I think that's such a good opening song. You can fit the opening montage in there. That'll work for me. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna slide the Anvil of Crom in there for like a training montage.
All right.
And then I don't know. Well, then I guess you got to have the Zoo by Scorpions in there too. So I'll go with those 3.
All right. And you came to those with super easy. Sometimes we get you know, some we're still waiting for Owen Brody's Dre song. I'm waiting for him to DM me. But yeah, that's a solid 3 picks.
Have you ever read Mick Foley's book, Blood and Sweat Socks?
Yeah, but not recently.
Don't worry. I probably read that thing 3 times. In there, he talks about when he's listening to music, he often juxtaposes violent imagery over this beautiful music. And like, I think I'm probably the same type of cat. So I still remember like one of the very first wrestling videos I ever rented was called Rock and Roll Wrestling. Not Rock and Wrestling, but Rock and Roll Wrestling. And it was hosted by Johnny Legend. And I think that it was just all these awesome music videos from Memphis. I mean, because it was mostly footage from Memphis, but they were just badass. And since then, like, my brain has always kind of associated wrestling imagery and music. So I kind of, if I cut a music video in my head while I'm thinking about a match, that's usually going to be probably one of the better ones.
Interesting. I mean, that's an interesting way to look at music. To see all the violent imagery that comes along with it. But I suppose, like,
Yeah, I don't.
yeah.
It's always the soundtrack. I mean, like, I don't know if you could have made. You probably asked the perfect guy for that question. Like, I'm like, yeah, that works for this. I want that to lay under this.
Right. Now, to a controversial subject, pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
You know, I don't understand all the fire and discord over this. Like, who orders like the same kind of pizza every time? You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
I don't order the same kind of pizza every time. So occasionally, I like a pineapple on pizza. I like a Hawaiian pizza. I'll mix it in there. I don't give a damn what you put the pineapple with. Actually, you know, as long as there's that kind of salty sweet juxtaposition, I'm with it. So yeah, sometimes yes, but sometimes no.
All right. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Probably Machamp. I'm not that familiar with Pokemon, but he looks cool.
All right.
And then that story about the turtle with the fire on his tail and the rain almost killed him. That was pretty sad. So that's all I know about Pokemon.
That was Charmander. I can't believe I actually know that.
Yeah, we've reached the extent of my knowledge about Pokemon. Sorry to quote myself in this fashion. Sorry to disappoint any of my fans out there who thought I enjoyed Pokemon as much as them. Yeah, that's all I know.
And the weirdest thing you'd ever be asked on a wrestling podcast. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual rock.
What if I told you I already have?
Oh my god, really?
Dude, I've had to do a lot of like yard work and landscaping and you know, the translated name of my little town where I grew up was Little Rocks, but it's because there was boulder-sized rocks scattered all over every single hillside. So like, if it wasn't like sending giant boulders down canyons to just watch them, you know, roll and jump over the creek or whatever, like, I wrestled from some rocks, my friend.
Wow. All right. Move over, Psycho Mike. Just for context, there was this guy named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual rock for over 15 minutes in what was called, which was a 2-week on-man match.
Huh. I don't know if that says a lot for his strategies against The Rock.
Well, he didn't win the match.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna name myself now actually The Rock wrestling champion now. So I think we covered that. I mean, if only because I've disposed of my foes and what would be record time comparatively.
Well, I mean, he didn't win the match. He had 2 matches with The Rock and he lost.
Terrible. Doesn't speak highly of his intelligence either.
All right, we might be getting at Anthony Idol versus Psycho Mike match in the future.
I'm gonna have rocks in my pocket. He won't know what hit him.
And now it is once again time for that segment. Anthony Idol's Bizarre Adventure. You're a wrestler that goes up and down the road, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are about to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
I probably already did, but since that was me being the bizarre person, oh, good Lord, I don't even know how to frame this correctly. Basically, I saw frightening levels of tweakerdom in Bakersfield, like scary, like oozing open sores on their cheeks, tweakers, like moaning, asking for help. Like, it was just like, oh, dude, get me out of here. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm just remembering that. And we pulled in to get something to eat, and so unnamed person could speak to their girlfriend in Bakersfield at this restaurant, so they could chit chat for a bit. And I knew they wanted to play kissy face, so I was like, "Hey, why don't you go get the car and pull it up?" Because like by that time, as we were eating, the parking lot had filled up with like not not the best clique. So as we're making our way, because that idea got vetoed, so he could play kissy face while we're all standing around the parking lot like a bunch of idiots. We're walking by all these characters. I shit you not, as this guy's face is just full of scabs, and he starts loudly making fun of me. I'm like, dude, why don't you just tell these people like you want to get robbed? Like, so yeah, being surrounded by tweakers in Bakersfield was probably the pinnacle of weird. I've seen some other stuff. Dudes, wrapped in plastic, naked, speaking to law enforcement in very casual fashion.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
All right. Wow. Was not expecting that one. Definitely weird, bizarre, and crazy.
Yeah, lots of it, man. You get far enough into. Yeah, I don't want to put any towns down. I think the things, man. I think the things.
Well, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully I have a job in pro wrestling. That would be nice. That would really be my main goal. Whether that is booking or writing, I don't know. I don't know what's possible now. I know a lot of those jobs at the big companies go to legitimate television writers. So I don't know if they want a wrestling person in that job. I would love to be involved in broadcasting, and by that I mean either pro wrestling commentary or radio. But preferably I would have a job in pro wrestling. I'd like to stay in and around pro wrestling, but it would be a job that I could pay my rent with.
That's great. And what is a match that people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Anthony Idol is all about?
All right. Well, what aspect do you mean that?
Just a match. If people wanted to see who Anthony Idol was all about, you would say that's the match you should see that it best shows off who I am as a wrestler.
If you wanted to see like my largest offensive display, then it would probably be against Willie Mack, where that's probably I don't think I've ever had done that much stuff in a match. I was like when they say you had to throw everything in, and the kitchen sink at somebody, that was it. So, I mean, I empty pretty much the offensive, sack in that one. If that's your thing. But if you've never seen me before, if you don't know who I am, and you wanted to learn or get a feel for who I am as a wrestler, as a human, because there's not a whole lot of difference between Anthony Idol and the man behind Anthony Idol. Then I would think you would look at Anthony Idol versus Dirty Doug. I think it's the only one. Yeah, it's the only one that's up. Yeah, from SoCal Pro. So there's a little video lead in. So I get to talk a little bit. You get to meet me a little bit, and then you get to see that match. And I think that's a pretty fair representation of who I am. That's probably what you're going to get at a show, So those two.
I know the Willie Mack match is on YouTube. Is the other one on YouTube as well?
Oh yeah.
And I'll get those into the description of the video below. You can watch the matches after you listen to this. Now that we're nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is our bonus round, our speed round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready, Anthony?
I think so.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Oh man. It changes a lot. You know, I juggle this one a lot.
Top three?
Nah, today I'll just say Ric Flair.
All right.
You know, because in my opinion, you know, he touches all those buttons.
Worst wrestler of all time.
Oh, that's not nice. The thing about wrestling is so many people can find ways to be successful. I'm a big Kamala fan. I love Kamala. And I don't know that Sugar Bear James Harris would have been successful. And I don't know that, you know, anybody else doing Kamala stuff would have been successful. But Kamala was the best Kamala that ever Kamala'd. You know, so like it's all about maximizing. So the worst would be someone like Tom McGee, because he had what appeared to be every single tool and it was frittered away. So like to me, that's like the biggest loss. So that to me, that's like, oh man, why didn't that work out? So I think those, you know, that I would rather call that guy the worst than be like, oh, you know, Bunkhouse Buck. Bunkhouse Buck is far from the worst. I'm throwing that name out. You know what I'm saying? Like whoever it is that people just dislike because they dislike, or it's not their cup of tea, or this, you know. But how about I just tell you that I hated the Honky Tonk Man my entire life until I wrestled him. How about that?
I mean, I think that was a lot of people's perspective on Honky Tonk Man.
He's a genius.
Oh yeah. But that was a really interesting perspective, because I felt like Tom McGee was only good because he wrestled really good wrestlers. He wasn't a really good wrestler himself.
That becomes a, you know, glaringly apparent. But also keep in mind, like, he still didn't have a whole lot of matches under his belt when he started. You know what I'm saying? That's not 100 matches that he's starting with.
Yeah, just like
so that's especially at that time in WWF, most guys had 15 years.
Very true. I mean, and
guys
that handful of matches was with Bret Hart and Ted DiBiase.
Yeah. And he looks fantastic against Bret Hart, where you would never guess that things were going to go so terribly. But you know, he stuck with it longer than I thought. I think in 1991. I know he went to Japan afterwards. So, you know, I guess after a while, if it's not on him, you know what? I'm feeling better about this call. I'm gonna go Tom McGee. You know, maybe he's not the worst because he's obviously physically talented, and obviously capable, but obviously did not capitalize. So I think that's safe. That's probably not gonna hurt Tom's feelings. So I'm gonna stick with that one.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
What are the restrictions of this answer, or what are the limitations of the answer?
No restrictions, no limitations.
It's the main event of WrestleMania?
Yes.
The Rock.
All right. Promos going into that match is going to be legendary.
Yep, I don't think. Well, I mean, let's make some damn money.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
When I have to not choose my own because I only found out after the fact that my entrance music was someone else's.
Yes, not your own.
Yeah, I did not know. For the record, I did not. I just spaced it that Mike Awesome came out to the zoo. I did not know, and I never knew that Hugh Morris came out to the really sweet version that Jimmy Hart tweaked of the zoo. I just didn't know. And when I heard the zoo, I was just like, "That's an awesome song that sounds like a totally fitting of a gaijin in Japan." And of course I was right, but also, yeah. Anyway, someone else's music. I'm going to go that Samoa Joe music.
Ooh, cool. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
more important than people know.
I can agree more. squash fruit or vegetable?
It's seeds inside, so it's a fruit.
Oh my god, yeah, it is. It is indeed a fruit. New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I think that's up to the individuals. I don't, me personally don't really want to see a dude in a thong wrestling. I think that'd probably be a bit much. I know there was some dude in Japan who had he was wearing trunks and a really high, I guess word for it would be like a French cut. So you had full side cheek, but then he had full coverage. I think I can't remember what that cut's called.
The European
Anyway, I don't know, but it was definitely a Japanese dude. So he was showing full cheek. So I still think there's room for experimentation. I think people should explore that. I'm not pro exposed dude in a thong. I think that's too far. As the game is with women's fashion, it's always about hiding things just a little bit, to be just a little bit of a tease. And every season it's a little bit different. Sometimes it's cleavage, and sometimes it's side boob, and then it's under boob, and and sometimes it's exposed midriff, and no, now the midriff is gone, and now it's a plunging neckline, and oh no, this season it's back, ladies, we're showing back, whatever it is. So they switch it up, what I'm saying? But it's not a full reveal. It's always a little tease. So if that's your vein of experimentation, I would say get crazy with it.
So keep a little bit to the imagination.
A little bit to the imagination, yes. I think that's it. But still, I think the only thing would be that single leg thing that Zack Ryder used to wear. That into a bare ass cheek probably wouldn't be the coolest. But maybe if someone did the Prince deal, where it was just cheeks out and full tights, I'm not stealing that. So anybody listening, feel free. That really wouldn't be a look for me, but that might work.
All right. And the main event, the last question, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that is the correct answer. That will conclude our interview. Thank you so much for doing this with us, with me, Anthony.
That felt so mean to Darby Allin.
Well, I think he answered the question himself. So I mean, it's not like
I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm not saying I wouldn't talk about him in the grocery store. I saw a dude in the store today with an El Santo shirt on.
But that's the problem. I mean, we could talk about other wrestlers and random people in a supermarket about other wrestlers, but we haven't found that guy that had a complete stranger to have a conversation about Darby Allin with.
It could happen. It could happen. It would probably happen in Encinitas.
You know
what I'm saying, where there's more skateboarding at large.
I mean, I've gone into supermarkets and just asking random strangers. But that's another story for another time.
I actually see wrestling T-shirts at my gym, and my gym is adjacent to a grocery store, so this could theoretically happen in my world.
If it does happen to happen,
back on the show.
Message me. We'll get you on the show. So extra points if you actually record the conversation. But in all seriousness, thank you so much for coming on, doing this with me. And once again, could you tell us where we could find you on social media and merchandise and the whole shebang?
I am at Anthony Idol on Twitter, at Anthony Idol on Instagram. I am Anthony Idol on Facebook. 2 pages there, regular, human, and fan page. And I have my own Pro Wrestling Tees website. It's Pro Wrestling Tees /Neon Phenomenon, or you can just search Anthony Idol on the Pro Wrestling Tees website, where you can get the brand new hashtag Pecosaurus Rex, hashtag Pool Party World Tour t-shirt, the hottest t-shirt of the summer.
And you don't even need to search for it. And this link will be in the description of the video below. You've been listening to him for almost an hour. Buy a damn shirt. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. Join us this Saturday for our preview and review show. Next week on the show, we have Brutal Bob Evans. So you definitely want to watch that one as well. Of course, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WRESTLINGWITHE for 10% off your next purchase. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Wrestling with E for all your Wrestling with Entertainment needs. You can find me at JamesJ993. You can find Kaliko at I Am Kaliko, and you can find Scooter at Scooter Dust. Alright, Anthony, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay? Anthony, can you hear me? No.
Your co-host never showed up.
No, unfortunately not. I mean, obviously there was some, if he was ever really here to begin with.
Jiminy Christmas, man. Well, tell Uncle Bob that I said hi. Uncle Bob knows everybody. But yeah, I really had a great time at Uncle Bob's seminar. So I'm doing a pre-plug for Brutal Bob Evans, man. Get out to an Uncle Bob seminar if you can. He's awesome.
Oh, we'll definitely send him your love as well. When I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
You got it.
For our very special guest, Anthony Idol, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Dig It.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.